Welcome to Books and Things. It's a pleasure being here today. We're starting off a new month, and summer's here. It's like 75, 80 degrees out. And today is a very special day to me. It marks the 20th anniversary of the death of my son, Todd. And I thought that tonight we could discuss death and dying and living and grieving and try to help people to know what can be done. And to discuss this very serious subject, I have invited Nina Lake. There's an H actually in front of her name, but we're not going to discuss that because she won't tell me. She would threaten to kill me, so I'm not going to even ask. Anyway, Nina is a licensed clinical social worker and adjunct professor, and she teaches the Human Development and Family Studies Department at UConn, and she's a graduate of UConn School of Social Work, and she has worked in the field for over 30 years.
I have.
And we met because I have been to your classes.
You have.
Welcome, Nina.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So, what, now the classes that you teach that I have attended, it's death and dying?
Death, dying, and bereavement.
Death, dying, and bereavement, which
Yes.
is exactly our subject today, which is why I wanted you on.
Thank you.
To help me celebrate my so-called anniversary.
Okay.
And I have been on there, I can't tell you what, 5, 6, 7 years?
Yes, well, the connection was a former student
Yep.
who was a friend of your son.
Right,
said
my
you-
special Stacy.
That's right. Said that I had to have you as a guest speaker. And I had you that first time, and you've come back every year, and I don't think we could have class without you.
Well, thank you. I enjoy it, I really do.
And my students do.
And as long as your students enjoy it, that's the main thing.
They do.
But we discuss basically what I went through, and I know a lot of people don't discuss that. I like to make it public because I want to help people understand there is life after death,
Yes.
after a child dies, and I have done a number of things that I think I wouldn't have ever done if he was still alive. I don't think I'd have gone in that direction, you know, the old fork in the road thing, and you continue on your way, and you don't see other things. So I think that's important.
That's true. And the reason I have you come year after year is because you can tell the story now over 20 years, how you were 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5. And, you know, grief is not a constant. It changes, it morphs. You know, you have good years, you have bad years. My students are a good barometer for your emotional state because they journal about what happens in class. And when they journal about your presentation, some years it's good and some years they're concerned for you. Other years, you know, students have seen like bright lights attached to you.
That's scary.
Auras, as they say.
Yeah.
But, you know, but they all appreciate it, and they all, you know, have definitely sort of a connection to you because they're either the age your son was, or they have children, or they are going to have children, so it makes them really think about how precious life is and what if.
And that what if is so difficult when you lose a child or somebody you love. And we're talking about child because I lost a child, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a child. It
Sure.
could be a loved one. It could be a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, girlfriend,
Parent.
special friend, and that's the difficult thing is that if you're just a friend of the person, you do go through grieving, but there's nobody paying attention to you. You're out there all alone.
That's right.
Whereas the parents or the children, everybody's concerned about them. Friends are out there. Nobody's helping them.
True.
But it's just, it's such a degree of grieving. And I know I probably went the total 9
The
yards.
gamut. Yeah.
And it's just, here's my only child.
I know. What people don't understand is there's no set time frame for grief. There is no, you know, after you hear that there's this 2-year window of going through the stages of grief, and then you start your life over again, or you create a new life, a new existence. But what we don't understand is there is no set sort of procession of stages. Depends on who that person was, how close you were to them, your bond with them, and if in fact, you know, you lived your life with them in it, and with them not in it, it's like, who do you become?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, so there's tasks that you have to complete, you know, accepting the death, making peace with it, then creating a life, having made peace with their death, and also creating a new existence for yourself. And that's very hard, and that could take a lifetime.
Oh, yes. Yes, it can.
And you're an example. You're the poster child for that.
I never thought I'd see 20 years. I'll tell you the truth, I didn't want to live anyway, but so I'm here and I'm trying to make the best of it. And I even like doing this show and trying to help people understand things. And I do various subjects. I had a guy from the funeral director was on. I had him on last year. And because I try to help people, there's nothing worse than shopping for the most important and yet least important things for a person than a funeral.
Sure.
Just casket, what's going to put on clothes and this and that. And these are difficult decisions to make when you're deep in grief.
Sure.
And you got to do this within a day or two. So I had the funeral director on to try to explain that. And my suggestion is to go out and talk to the funeral director and come find out what you need to know.
When you're not grieving.
Get it done.
That's right.
Before you really have to, and then, you know, then your mind is all scrambled up, and then you go, I should have done that. I should have done this.
There are very few people who will go to a funeral parlor if they haven't lost someone.
Yeah.
That's why I make it a requirement for the class, and I tell them they have to go alone.
like
Because
that.
the first thing they think of is, who am I going to take with me? And, you know, it's about them being able to process what they need to when they're not grieving, so that when they are grieving, they can do what they need to do and grieve at the same time. It's not a time where you can make important decisions. So people go through that process numb. And, you know, sometimes there's a family member who takes care of that. In my family, when my mother died, it was her sister. So we were young adults, so that we could just grieve. My mother's sister took care of all the logistics. If you don't have that person in the family, you're right, you go through the process numb, and then afterwards you think back and you question the decisions you make. You know, you're making decisions, and it's financial. You know, and you're making it from an emotional or a numb, you know, stance. So it's, you know, it's not easy. So I have them go to the funeral parlor, and they all enjoy it after. A couple of them have actually taken out sort of you know, not policies, but you know, they've signed up to sort of pay in advance.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
Well, that's another point too. You mentioned financial. A lot of times you really can't afford this.
No.
But you get in there and it's like, I was trying to buy a $2,000 box. You know, like being cheap, you should have a $4,000 box. So you overspend.
That's right.
Because you don't want to look cheap, to bury the person that you love, and again, that's a terrible thing.
Well, it's irrational because the person isn't here, and would they want you to go in debt, you know, over their funeral expenses?
Yeah.
And the answer is no, but again, you know, you're not thinking rationally, and you or whomever is in that situation. So you're right. That is
I was lucky because I walked in, I saw the casket. I didn't know what the price was. My ex-wife saw it the same time I did. We both said that's the one, and we picked a reasonably priced one.
Oh, good for you.
So it's just, I think my self-taught is going, that's the one.
He's been there a lot for you as far as helping you make decisions when you couldn't make them
Oh, he
on your
has.
own.
People think, well, yeah, he's a little wacko, but I don't really care. I know what I know, and I feel that a lot of decisions, he's sitting there with me and guiding me, or somebody is. And it's just like when I write things, I wrote that thing the other day, and it took me 20 minutes to write it, and I'm thinking, wow, I don't know where that all came from, but somebody is. I feel that somebody is giving me the information to pass on.
It's in you.
Yeah, it's
and
there.
It's still coming out of you.
And as far as, now there's a grieving process, and I we were talking, was that hospice? We're talking about the grieving process, and this one woman had just lost her daughter, and she said, "What is it?" And I said, "Well, it sounds blah, 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 blah." And she said, "Well, I want to know what it is so I can get through it." I said, "No, it's not like going through doors. You know,
That's
you
right.
just need it. And you can't take it step by step. It happens." And the only thing I never really understood was letting go of the grief. Everybody said, "Well, you got to let go of the grief." And I'm going,
No.
I don't know what it was. 8 years after he died, I felt a burden lift off my shoulders. I was standing at the cemetery, and I just, all of a sudden I said, I did it. I let go of the grief. I don't know what I did. I don't know what happened. But I felt better after that.
Okay. So
And
something happened, and I don't know if it's necessarily letting go of the grief. I don't know if you have to, as long as it's not disrupting your life.
Yeah.
You can hold on to the grief, and as long as you are living, you want to remember them.
Absolutely.
So that and grief are sort of interchangeable. So your grief is the loss of your son, and I'm not sure if you ever want to let go of that.
No, you're not. Excuse me. I still grieve for him. I don't grieve like I used to, because that is the dangerous part where you're constantly thinking about it. And until you can get to the point where you can think of other things in life,
That's right.
and my best thing is that I suggest getting new memories. Not that you're going to forget the other memories, but you got to get something new to start the direction in.
That's right.
And one of the things that I did was I found a girlfriend, and she helped me replace the memories. So we slid them aside. They're always there.
Yes.
They're there if I want them. I can go in and get them out, and that's not a problem. But you have to have something else to work on
Yes.
or work with. Other parents have other children. You focus a little more on them, but you're not sledding your deceased child. It's just you have to live.
That's right. That is, if you call them stages of grief or tasks of mourning, you do find an enduring connection with the deceased, but in the midst of embarking on a new life for yourself. So you're doing both. And, the saying is grieve now or grieve later.
Yeah.
But you have to grieve. And for those who don't, it becomes complicated, becomes delayed. It hits them when they're not expecting it. And they don't know what's wrong with them physically, mentally, spiritually. They crash, and then they don't connect the dots to they really didn't allow themselves ample opportunity emotionally or psychologically to grieve the loss of a significant person in their life.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah.
It's I have a pamphlet that talks about crying. Men don't cry as much as women, but crying actually is very therapeutic. There's supposed to be toxins in tears that we release that, according to this pamphlet, and I'll get you a copy, adds years on to one's life. And it's funny when I talk about that in class, my female students are asking for copies so they can take it home to their husbands. And then the husbands send messages back asking how much, how often, when, and as if, there's some way to cry, because there are a lot of folks who have never cried or cry very little.
I didn't before Todd died. And then I found out that I couldn't stop.
That's the fear. If I start,
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop. And that's why people avoid allowing themselves to grieve, because they think if this floodgate opens, I am going to die. They really feel like they are going. I felt that way too when the floodgates opened after the death of my mother. I, held in my grief, and when it hits, and it will not stop. And you don't think it's ever going to, but when it does, that's when you know this is what I needed to do. And this is why, I have sort of been stuck emotionally. And then after that, you begin that process of moving on without forgetting them, but it's not consuming you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is, well, like what, at first, I would cry at a drop of a hat, and then I'd get embarrassed, and I'd say, I can't even think about this anymore. I just crying my eyes out. And then I said, So what? I don't care if anybody sees me or not. This is me.
That's right.
This is what I do now. So live with it. And some people, they're sympathetic and they try to make you feel a little better. But this is me. Now I call it a Todd moment. I'll have a Todd moment. I'll see something, or you get blindsided by something foolish, and
Always.
you go, where did that come from? And all of a sudden you got tears running down, and you go, oh my God, I don't know what I did now.
You have to remember smells, music,
Yeah.
sounds, foods.
Oh yeah.
Driving down a road and seeing a particular building, a
Yeah.
playground. You'd be surprised by the triggers.
Or somebody walks by. I watched a movie, Josh Hartnett, and it was a World War II movie. I can't remember what it was now. I kept looking at him. He looked so much like my son in different parts of this movie. I cried through the movie. And I'm thinking, turn the thing off. But the degree of grieving is just, it eases up after a while, so it doesn't console you all the time. It's
That's right.
or consume you. It does. It's there. Sometimes you go to bed at night and you think, "Why me?" And you start feeling sorry for yourself or something, and it's just little things that trigger you. Now the other thing was, we talked about the grieving, and then there's also guilt.
Yes.
Oh my God, and I feel guilty. You feel guilty eating. Oh, Todd used to love this, I can't eat that. And you feel guilty doing everything. Well, I can't do that, he can't, so I can't. And that drives you crazy.
Do you still feel the guilt?
No,
Okay.
no. Every once in a while I go, ha, I'm eating this and you can't. I have fun with him now. It's just, what else are we going to do? I can't treat him like he's gone. So I treat him like he's still here. And boy, these nachos are great. Don't you wish you had one? And if something goes wrong, and I said, no, it's your fault. And you're doing this to me. Or something is, some electrical thing will go out. I said, thank you very much. So I talk to him. I live alone, so nobody thinks nobody knows what I'm doing anyway. And if I talk to him, and it's just, I don't feel guilty anymore. And there's no reason for you to feel guilty. You didn't do anything.
But it's a natural reaction.
It's a natural.
Is.
And you think, oh, if I only did this, or I only did that.
Yes.
I should have done this. And those are the worst things to think about. Don't even think about those things.
But it happens. It is.
But it does.
It's just in the early stages of grief,
Yeah.
you try to, find answers.
Yes.
You try to figure out what could you have done differently. Were you a good parent? Were you a good spouse? Should you have said something differently to them? It's almost like you're trying to reconstruct, history.
Maybe if I had done this or that.
Yes,
Don't let him go out of the house. Keep him locked up.
exactly. We are not in control of the universe.
No, we're not. And we realize that a lot because there's just things that's just not going to happen. But the guilt is there, and then the other thing is, you get irate, temper,
Anger.
Oh, I grabbed a guy by the shirt one night. He's a good friend of mine.
Well, that's good.
And
He
it's a good
understood.
thing. And I'd let him go, and I thought, you're not going to punch him. But I was just got so angry, and you want to punch something, you got to hurt somebody. It's not fair. And
true.
that's the and if you get through that without damaging anything, you're all right.
Especially if you're around people who understand and are more patient and sort of tolerant. It's important, not to know your limits.
Yeah.
And to recognize the emotional state you're in. And so many of us don't realize the emotions are connected to the loss. So the guilt, the anger, the depression, the sadness, the, death at God, death at, or anger, anger at God, anger at, whomever, whenever, it could come upon you without you being aware of it. So it's really important to understand death. I think we avoid it. I think we avoid thinking about it, talking about it, and that's actually what needs to happen because it's on the rise. And just to make a quick point, I try to imagine in our U.S. military, 22 soldiers are dying by suicide a day.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to imagine that. So, this it needs to be talked about, whether it's personal, our sons, our mothers, our soldiers. We have to start talking about it because it's natural. It really is natural. The way a person dies is either natural, accidental, suicide, or homicide. But death is something that's going to happen. And the more we talk about it, the better prepared we're going to be. I think we're further removed from death than we were, last century, when deaths were at home and everyone was involved and everyone was around, and it wasn't, the person wasn't placed in a hospital, with machines on them, and the family is sort of removed from the whole process. That's what makes it so scary for us now, is that we're removed from death when death is actually a natural process. It's going to happen to everyone. How it happens, we don't know, but it's going to happen, and we're more and more afraid of it.
And then you wish you were there.
Yes.
If I could have been with him. Or, But it's just the grieving process or task is something you got to go through. It may take some people 2 years.
That's right.
Some will take 20 years.
Or a lifetime.
A lifetime. And I talked to a minister from Presbyterian Church in Mystic. He was a friend of mine. And I couldn't get answers. I needed to know what's going on. And he said, you've got to get through the first 2 years. And that's what you mentioned, something about 2 years.
Yes.
You got to get through the first 2 years because of the anniversaries.
Yes.
And then it gets a little easier. Once you get used to those anniversaries, like today, this has been bothering me for a month. I know it's coming, and it's here, and I'm celebrating 20 years of not seeing my son. It's just not right.
Yeah.
But today's a nice day. But the thought of getting to this day, I've thought of this day for 20 years, and it's just not.
That's true. It's an anniversary that's going to happen, whether you want it to or not, and we don't think of that.
Birthdays.
Yes.
The day he died, the graduation from school, all these little dates that you have to go through. And the birthday, what do you do for it? Like, there's something I can do for him. Maybe I can plant something. It's just, you're so used to giving a gift. And Christmas, my first few Christmases were not pleasant, right? It's just, and people say, well, you got to get into the Christmas spirit. I can't get into this. I still don't really get into it anymore.
Well, that depends on, the Christmas spirit. What is the Christmas spirit for you? It could be a new tradition, something that you start now that works for you, because you have to be able to live, and you don't want to be depressed during the holiday season because of what others expect of you. So what do you do for Christmas now?
I go to my stepdaughter's house for dinner and we exchange gifts.
Okay.
There's no kids anymore, so you don't have to get excited about the kids. And there's 5 minutes left. I can't. I don't get excited because
Well, it's okay.
I'm older.
Well, there are a lot of individuals who have had significant losses, and when it comes to like you said, that first year of holidays, anniversaries is the most difficult. The second year, you know what to expect.
Yeah.
What they do is create a new tradition where they do something that doesn't remind them of when that person was alive, and that works for them.
Well, we're down to the last couple of minutes. Anything else you'd like to talk about? I may have to have you back on again.
Okay.
Because I find it exciting. I'm hoping everybody else does too, because it's a subject that really needs to be covered.
Yes, I agree. And my class starts next week, and you are a guest speaker again.
That's right.
And I get excited about the class. And when I say that, I'm very careful who I say that to. I'm teaching death and dying, and I'm so excited. People look at me sort of, but I am, because it's a wonderful class, and with you as part of it and have other speakers, and it's something that the students have never talked about, so it's helpful for them. And some of them, you don't know what they're going through or have gone through recently.
Yeah, that's true. And as you know, when I get there, I have no idea who these people are or what. I don't even know what we're going to talk about.
That's true.
And but the subjects come up and we get through it. And I enjoy those classes because they do ask, especially when we have a class of askers, the people that really want to know things. I mean, and that's what you're able to do something with them. And I just excited that we were able to put this together today, and I really thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you for
I enjoyed
having me. Me too.
I don't have the date. What's the date?
That you're going to be in class?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got it written down someplace.
Good, so do I. We'll coordinate.
All right. Anyway, Nina teaches at UConn, and I don't know if you can. If you have questions, did you give her email address or anything?
I don't.
If
But they can email you.
Yes, I was just going to say, if you have any questions for Nina, please email me, and I'll pass them on to Nina, and I'll be happy to expound on anything that we've done today. And I think we're going to have to do a part 2 maybe next month,
Okay.
and do that. So I want to thank everybody for watching the show, and I hope you come away with some good thoughts about how you can help other people who have lost people, and understand that once you go through this, I meant to mention that too, you're a different person when you come out of it. Fortunately, you do come out of it, and but you're a different person. Your ideas are different. Your thoughts are different, and you have to understand that when you talk to somebody who's been through a loss like this, they're going to be a little different. Just don't shy away from them, because they still need help and they need a hug. And if you don't know what else to say to them, just don't say anything. Shake a hand or give them a hug. Hugs are great.
Check in with them after 6 months.
Yeah,
And
6
beyond.
months. And like I say, if you need anything, please send me an email. Tomorrow's the 4th of July, Independence Day. Have a great time and lots of good food. Everybody's barbecuing, I hope. Better have a big tent because it might be raining. And I thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll see you next week. And don't forget, you should be reading Cuddle Up with a good book. And have a great time tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.